And fight against each other. Yeah.
So
that's kind of the more that's behind the popularity of the Call of Duty.
In terms of discussing a social network, people could meet as a result of this. They've played together on the game. They meet up in a pub, or they get married, or.
I doubt they get married. They would definitely. I mean, yes, people could meet up. People will form friendships and bonds. Playing.
Of course, you know why they probably wouldn't get married, because most of them would be. There would probably be no women.
Hi everyone, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. That clip was for anybody who's tried to explain video games to an older relative. I know it can be somewhat frustrating. That specific video clip was from a British talk show. The name of the host is Jon Snow, but not that Jon Snow. And the guy explaining video games to him is a man named Charlie Brooker, who actually has a 2-hour special that he did on video games for Channel 4. I'm not sure if the full special is available online yet, but I will start including show notes from now on, so be sure to check the notes for any links to the relative stuff that I am talking about today. So speaking of the Brits, they've had a pretty awesome week for video games. With the PlayStation 4 breaking the record for the highest selling console launch in the UK. The exact numbers aren't out quite yet, but it's estimated around 250,000 units sold in the first week. Keep in mind that their launch was delayed a little bit from the US, where we saw a 1 million units sold in 24 hours, which is just crazy when you think about it. In comparison, in the UK, the Xbox One launch was, I think, about 150,000 units sold, which still isn't bad, but interesting to see PlayStation 4 pulling ahead in various launches. So good for Sony, good for the UK, and I'm sure there's a shitload of FIFA being played right now. So with the long holiday weekend, typically there isn't much going on in the video game industry in terms of news. So I wanted to devote this video today to 2 Kickstarters that personally just have so much love for, and it's kind of sad that both of them are not going to meet their goals. They only have a few days left, each of them, but I still want to bring them to people's attention. I actually wrote articles about them on Game Skinny if you guys keep up with what I'm writing. So the first game I want to look at is Retro World. I immediately fell in love with this game just from the first screenshots because it looks so much like Earthbound, and Earthbound is an amazing role-playing game for those who haven't played it. It is now available on the Virtual Console, so it still holds up. It's one of the greatest RPGs ever. This is much more than just like Earthbound inspired game. It actually is inspired by past console generations. The official tagline for the game is collect, sell, or trade video games throughout the console generations in an open world retro landscape where video games come to life. And as you'll see in the trailer, basically there's 2 parts of the game. You're just walking around as this kid that's new to this city and collecting and trading video games with other kids, and then you're actually playing those games on a TV. So they're like these retro inspired games. Of course, the one that caught my attention the most was Tyke Bison's Knockout, I think it was called, which obviously is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which was one of my absolute favorite games on the NES. So the game is being made by a Canadian fellow by the name of Francois Grenier. Hope I am pronouncing that correctly. It's kind of cool if you look on the Kickstarter under all the game press that have been talking about this, that look, there I am. I'm up there with Kotaku. How cool is that? Unfortunately, the press has not done a very good job of getting people's attention about this game, as it only has 173 backers. They had a pretty lofty goal of 175,000 Canadian. They're not even past 5,000 right now, with 8 days left to go. So not a snowball's chance in hell of this actually getting funded this time around. But Francois did say that he's learned from this Kickstarter and he plans to launch another one. So I will keep you up to date on this game. Please, please back it. It looks like it's going to be absolutely amazing. The other Kickstarter that I want to look at is a game that is described as Adventures in Space, Epic Side-Scrolling Action, Monsters and Mystery. All that's missing is you. So that's Project Sen, and it's a sort of Mega Man X Metroid-styled side-scrolling platformer that's done in 2D, and quite a few of the people working on the game were involved on Skullgirls. And if you have not played Skullgirls, go get it on Steam. It is the best independently made fighting game out there. Beautiful hand-drawn animation. It's kind of plays like the Marvel vs. Capcom games, but not quite as chaotic. And that game is actually still in active development. They have some DLC characters on the way. But a few of the animators and artists splintered off into CakeMachineGames, a small studio, and they're trying to get this game launched. So besides just looking like an all-around fun game to play, I have to point out the character designs in this. It's obvious that they're going in a certain direction with the designs in terms of female body image. And that's something that can be hotly debated in video games, especially with stuff like Dead or Alive, or pretty much any video game. So it's interesting to see them represent a more full-figured female lead character. In fact, all the female characters. And the cool thing is they don't sort of beat you over the head about it. It's not even mentioned in their Kickstarter video or anywhere on the Kickstarter about female body image. And that sort of brings things back to last week with Ultimate Gay Fighter. Now, that is a game that just takes its gayness and beats you over the head with it. And that's just the wrong way of going about it. They could easily market this game to, I wouldn't say feminist groups, but to females that, hey, look, here's a lead character that looks more like the average female. Instead, they're just trying to get the game made based off of design and being fun. And unfortunately, it's not going to make it. It is at 568 backers. And they had a goal of 80,000 with a lot of different stretch goals, way higher than that. But they're not even going to break 23,000 with only 4 days left. They haven't quite said what they're going to do yet if they don't reach their funding. But I have a feeling this one will be back as well. So in featuring Ultimate Gay Fighter, I had another Game Skinny writer point me towards a mobile game based off of the RuPaul Drag Race reality show. And something interesting came up when I was looking through some screenshots of this game, and I'm pretty sure that that's Birdo in there. And for those of you that don't know, Birdo was considered to be the very first transgender character in video games. I personally just think it was a translation error from Nintendo in their instruction manual that referred to Birdo as both a male and female, and consequently Nintendo switched its gender over to female as a sort of love interest for Yoshi, although Yoshi is supposedly a male character that lays eggs, so who knows what the fuck is going on there, but it's kind of interesting to see a transgender Nintendo character pop up in a RuPaul mobile video game. I wonder if Nintendo is aware of the character's cameo. So hopefully both of these games come back next year when we have a little bit more money in our wallets. But we'll go ahead and move on to follow-up stories. So the Spartan show is still alive, believe it or not, even though Twitch has been banning the Playroom left and right. Obviously, they're not going to ban the Spartan show because it was endorsed by Shuhei Yoshida and a few well-known people in the video game industry, but it's pretty much died out. Like, their viewership was down into the teens, mostly because maybe if you make a show about video games, you should actually know a thing or two about video games. It's become more of a game of just stumping them. I believe the hosts referred to Demon's Souls as a first-person shooter. I even got in on the fun a little bit and asked him what his favorite roguelike game was, and his response was something like, "Oh, you mean like Splinter Cell?" So that show is pretty much as good as dead. But speaking of Twitch banning things, this was kind of interesting. Over the weekend, Twitcher, I don't even know the term for people who stream on Twitch, but a guy on Twitch was streaming World of Warcraft, trying to set a record by playing 135 hours straight. His name is Relenk, or R-L-E-N-K, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that name. And he's done similar things before. He's leveled up a character from level 1 all the way to level 90 in one sitting. So it's nothing new to have him try something like this. But I say banned because he only made it a little bit past 48 hours until his stream went down. And some people were claiming that maybe Twitch shut the stream down out of health concerns, because if you don't sleep 135 hours, that could potentially be lethal. Or another theory right now as to why it was shut down is maybe he was playing copyrighted music, which I can attest to a little bit. Apparently, playing the 1812 Overture in your videos counts as a copyright, even though it's a public domain song. I guess the people that are performing it will have a copyright claim to that song. I should point out there's also plenty of Twitch streams that still do live shows. They've been around long before the PlayStation 4. One in particular that I watch is UltraChenTV with James Chen and Ultra David. Two very knowledgeable guys about fighting games. If you've ever tuned into Evo, chances are either both of them or at least one of them were commentating on the stream. So there's definitely a place on Twitch for streaming not actual gameplay, but just talking about games. But I don't think the Spartan show is going to last. So as to be expected over the holidays, video game news tends to slow down a little bit. We do have the VGX, hate saying that, the VGA awards on Spike coming up, and there's going to be a few announcements coming out of that, but other than that, I don't expect much news. I'm going to try to review a few more games. I'm currently playing the new XCOM expansion, Enemy Within, so I'm really enjoying that. So I'll try to get a review of that going up on Game Skinny sometime soon. I really want to play the new Mario game as well, but I don't have a Wii U. I don't have a 3DS either. I really want to play the new Zelda, so hopefully I'll be able to get to these games sooner or later. So thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the show notes if you want more information about the Kickstarters that I showed in this video, or if you want to check out Charlie Booker's program, 2-hour special about video games. And I will see you baby birds next time.